Another amazing day for the ticker symbol GTII. Let's go ahead and evaluate the probabilities for the following session. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this Taco Tuesday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, so yes, we are looking at GTII on the 5-day chart here, and this is the broadening descending wedge that we've been looking at for quite some time with the descending triangle right over here. Okay, so yes, we are now pretty much validated that support, and we are continuing on the upside. Okay, the resistance that we found today, please remember that resistance was actually in respects to the target of a gap that we saw yesterday here on the 3-day chart of the RSI. Okay, and we drew it right over here so that we can see the probabilities for resistance today, and there it is. Okay, so we actually talked about a target of about, I'd say, 206 to 225. We went to 224, just about a cent off from that resistance. ARCa sucks. All right, so very good times. Okay, so now, yes, there could be a pullback from this area. Okay, so now I'm only saying that because, yes, we faced a resistance, so now we're knocking at that door again, just like we did the last time, just like this right over here. Then we came back, and then we actually pushed on to the upside, right? So it's only natural for us to pull back. And why is that pullback area there? So if you can remember correctly, it's actually the bi-daily gap that we formed back over here on November 22nd, 2022 to about November 25th, okay? So that is the reason why I was saying that is, you know, we have to keep our previous gaps in for future play. In the event where we can use it, as a form of resistance, right? So we came right up to that area and we actually rejected. Okay, so of course we already knew this. We already knew that we were going to face the rejection here. We also touched on the probabilities. I'm sorry, the importance of knocking this target out of the park. Okay, so we do need to close this, you know, a new candle iteration here. I would say a minimum 4-hour to 8-hour candle closure above the resistance of about 225 for us to validate a continuation onto the upside. Okay, so there could be a small pullback for reaccumulation, but that is a very good thing because we can absolutely, you know, grab some more bulls down here for another reaccumulation event and another thrust to the upside. Okay, now speaking of the statistical side of the analysis, like thrust, I want to just go ahead and continue looking at the 3-day and the 5-day volatility versus momentum profile. So this is volatility you're looking at represented by this indicator BBWP, and this is stochastic momentum. The reason why we have them together is because you know, volatility is direction neutral. You would want to pair it with a momentum-based indicator for that bias for direction, right? So go ahead and notice here that, yes, we're definitely following our trend line regression, and we are still suggesting an upside continuation. If you are curious as to what that criteria was, well, anytime that we've actually contracted from a critical expansive level of the BBWP or volatility, there has, you know, paired alongside stochastic or paired alongside momentum pivoted towards the upside, there's been an average move, right, of about 971% to the upside based on a back test throughout the entire trading history of the GTII asset, okay, since about 1995 or 94. The first iteration happened in 1995, though, and it was a negative iteration. But from all of those, I have taken the metric of the duration of the iteration, the upside thrust of the iteration, the amount of times that the iterations have guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. So all of these samples were gathered to create one whole data set right over here. Okay, so this is the data set, and you're looking at a total 31 iterations throughout the entire trading history of the GTII asset on the 3-day chart. 21 of which have been correctly guessed to the upside, which gives us an averaged upside accuracy of 67.74%. with an average upside thrust of about 971.33% over the span of about 22.5 days. All right, so yes, we have surpassed the average duration, but that's entirely okay. It's just It's just an average, and they're just statistics. Okay, so they're not certainties, but they have been playing out pretty nicely. And so far, the signal is absolutely still fired. The 971% average may not get realized, but I'm just telling you that that's what the data is saying. It's saying that on average, we should be facing a 971% move based on all of those iterations through the entire trading history of the GTI asset on the 3-day chart. Wow. All right. So yes, so that target actually would leave us upside of about $10. Okay, which is very confluent with the forward spot 618 at 10:06, and also confluent with the macro ascending channel that we're looking at here on the 3-day chart. Okay, so the resistance of that would be right at about $10 as well. Okay, so now another thing that I actually wanted to look at that I forgot to show you yesterday, and yes, this trend line here represents the target taken, or the target, this one right over here takes into consideration the target from the hypotenuse of the triangle, or a price objective, right? In order for us, you can actually get a price objective from these descending triangles or right angle triangles. So you take it from the hypotenuse of the triangle down to the lower point, being this point here, and then you apply it to that area of breakout, this candle being the first one closing above the breakout, and that takes us to about 1646. But there are two other ways to look at this target. Okay, another very popular way is actually found from the center of the triangle itself. Okay, so this larger trend line here, the one leading up to about $23, is actually taken into account all the way to the downside here, which is where we touched right down here, right? So it's a little confusing right now. We have two probabilities, and amongst those probabilities, there are three other methods to get that price objective. So if we were to take into consideration the center of the triangle and then apply it to that breakout, it takes us to about 484. Okay, so that area of 484 or 480 something is very confluent with the target that we're looking for in the ascending channel from the time fractals. Okay, so right over here. Okay, so first of all, actually, I'm sorry. Let me see, where's the 4? Yeah, so right let's just say, for example, that we were to make our way up to the top, right? So you're looking at about $5, or the shallow $5 area, which is already really interesting, that the triangle on the 3-day is suggesting a target of around 480 something, 490, right? So it's confluent with that. So now if we take the trend line from the center of the triangle all the way to the lower point of the triangle, let's see what that gives us. Okay, so we apply it to the area of breakout, and let's see where that takes us. Okay, so that starts to take us to about $7.51, which is very confluent with the 3-spot 272 of the Fibonacci ratio, and also just under the 3-spot 618 golden mean. Okay, so that would be very, very ideal, right? So, but it's everything in the geometrics are kind of lining up, is my point. They're lining up pretty nicely. Okay, so definitely very excited for the GTII asset. Okay, so now let's go ahead and open up a multi-pane here so that we can see what could be happening for the immediate short term to medium term. Okay, so the 30-minute immediate short term time frame suggesting an upside. We're approaching that gravitational zone, which would essentially take us up. And remember, it lives out pretty fast. Okay. So the 4-hour time frame suggesting upside even still. If we were to face a little bit of a pullback, it would be in respects to maybe the mid-session to end of session tomorrow. And it would be very, very short-lived. But I do have a target for that, okay, because it's actually recommended by the 8-hour time frame. And this tiny little pivot here from the 4-hour, I really don't like those pivots because they tend to fail, right? Just like this one here. And then it failed, right? So, but then it continued onwards and upwards, right? So that this is it's not a bad thing, but I can give you a sense of where that may be. First of all, let me look at this on the let me keep it on maybe the 4-hour, and I can give you that target. Okay, so so we're looking at about the 1 fib at $1.93 being correlated with that SMA 10. Very, very likely we can actually face support touch right down at that area, because we have been using the SMA 10 quite frequently as a form of support before a continuation to the upside. Okay, so that's very likely we can actually see a touch of about 193 before a continuation to the upside. So it's still looking very, very bullish. Now, if you jump in straight to the the daily, go ahead and notice that the daily is now entering the bull strength percentile. And look at the 3-day. The 3-day is now inside of the bull weakness percentile, suggesting still a little bit of an upside. And the validator for all of that is actually the 5-day time frame. Heavy time frame here, suggesting an upside continuation even still. I must warn that we do have, let's see. Oh, and on the weekly time frame, it's looking very good too. We're contracting from a critical expansion, alongside an upward pivot here from the stochastic momentum. So this is very, very good. Okay, this is incredibly important, and we're going to be closing in 2 days and 18 hours. I understand it's an eternity away, but if we do close in the green, then this would be a macro scale upside validator. Okay, so definitely notice that on the 5-day volatility versus momentum, we're still pivoted towards the upside, and we're closing in 17 hours and 52 minutes, very likely tomorrow. And also in the 3-day, 1 day and 18-hour 3-day closing period. Okay, so this is, this is what essentially is going to validate or now continue the pivot here to the upside on stochastic momentum and continuation of the contraction phase here of volatility. So we'll keep an eye on that as we move on. Please remember, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell any assets whatsoever, okay? I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be just fine. Please refer to the links in the description below where you'll find the Twitter and Discord links, okay, you guys? So, but yeah, I think this is a pretty good place to wrap up the video. If you have any questions or concerns, you know what to do. But until then, I wish you well, a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.